He looked poor and was humiliated by the manager, but the next day his true identity was revealed. Jake wiped down the last table before the lunch rush, a faded uniform clinging to his frame like a second skin. The clattering plates and chatter faded into a white noise as he chased thoughts of unpaid bills and sleepless nights, the weight of fatherhood heavy on his slumped shoulders. He couldn't afford a slip-up at the diner, but when the manager, a pompous man with a penchant for belittling his employees, criticized Jake for mistakenly mixing up two orders, a storm swirled inside him. Laughter erupted. Jake's heart sank. His fingers trembled, not just from anger, but from deeper anguish. A familiar sense of inadequacy latched onto him. How had he let it come to this? Writing a food memoir, attending culinary school, those dreams felt like dust blown away in the wind. He didn't need reminders of what could have been. He just needed a paycheck to feed Billy, who deserved so much more than a father drowning in self-doubt. The kitchen felt suffocating as he retreated, his mind spiraling. Could he keep juggling waitressing and night cleaning? Could he endure this job, this humiliation, as the family he loved desperately depended on him? Barely scraping by left him feeling like a ghost in his own life. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. When he returned to his duties, a faint smile masked the storm brewing inside him. Later that night, as fatigue settled in, a shadow of excitement flickered across his stress-laden features. The call from the Culinary Academy. Their need-based scholarship could lift his family out of their struggles. The critical voice in his mind, though, screamed that leaving his work would only threaten the fragile balance they'd managed to attain. Billy's birthday was fast approaching, and with it the familiar panic of wanting to give him everything but having nothing. The night shift was busier than usual, filled with the clamor of hungry patrons, and as a well-known food critic casually sipped coffee at the counter, Jake's nerves began to coil tighter. In an unexpected burst of inspiration, he prepared a forgotten family recipe, channeling the magic he had once hoped to offer Billy. The dish came from a time long past, a time when cooking felt vibrant and purposeful, not just a means to an end. The critic's expression shifted as he took his first bite, an awakening of culinary delight washing over his features. The diner's air thickened with anticipation. Jake, still under the manager's thumb, had no idea that today was tipping dangerously close to a transformation. The manager approached with another jibe, but the look in Jake's eyes flickered with defiance. Just as he opened his mouth to speak, his heart raced, not from fear this time, but from the surge of courage threatening to spill forth. Would he take a stand, rekindle the dreams he buried beneath anger and despair? The tension crackled in the air like static electricity. In that moment hung the question: could he finally reclaim his dignity as a father and a chef, or would he continue to shrink under the weight of inadequacy? Jake took a deep breath, his gaze fixed on the food critic's face while the din of the diner faded into a blur. The moment felt pivotal, and he sensed a door creaking open, a fragile opportunity to step through and reclaim a piece of himself. "Excuse me," he said, voice steadier than he expected. "I'm sorry about the mishap earlier. Would you like to try another dish instead?" The manager's eyes widened in disbelief, his laughter stalling momentarily. The critic raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "I'd love to taste what made you so passionate just now." A flicker of respect danced in the critic's eyes, and Jake almost faltered under its weight. But this was no time to second-guess himself. Jake could feel the tempest inside him beginning to settle. Adrenaline coursed through his veins as he dashed into the kitchen, retrieving the ingredients that would breathe life back into his creativity. Each chop of the knife felt exhilarating, an undeniable charge as he prepared the recipe that held whispers of his past. As he plated the food, a familiar rhythm washed over him, the essence of his true self pressing to the surface. The fear of judgment dissolved into purpose. This wasn't just a plate of food, it was a piece of his heart, a reflection of a man he had almost forgotten he was. He rearranged the components with careful precision, imbuing them with every ounce of love he felt for Billy. Returning to the critic, he placed the dish proudly in front of him. An aroma blossomed from the plate, igniting memories untapped for far too long. The critic took a bite, and Jake held his breath, waiting for the verdict that would either affirm his sense of self-worth or send him spiraling back into despair. The critic chewed thoughtfully, expression deepening into one of genuine delight. "This is extraordinary," he said, eyeing Jake with a newfound respect. "You have a gift." Jake's heart soared, and for the first time in a long while, he felt a flicker of hope. The crumbling weight of financial fear felt a bit lighter. The manager, having witnessed the scene unfold, hurried away, red in the face, muttering unintelligibly. Once the rush subsided and the final customer departed, Jake stood near the empty tables. Simmering excitement tinged with uncertainty. This could change everything, but at what cost? The Culinary Academy was within reach, yet stepping away from his job felt like a gamble that could jeopardize everything. He thought about Billy and the life he envisioned for him, a life that didn't involve shopping at discount stores or skimping on meals. The night air crackled with potential as Jake sat down at the diner's counter, contemplating his choices. Could he afford to risk his steady paycheck, however meager, for a chance to revive the aspirations that still flickered dimly within? The question lingered, thick with possibility and dread. But it was the surprise phone call he received moments later that sent shockwaves through his thoughts. "Jake, it's Rachel from the Culinary Academy. We need to discuss your scholarship." The fork in the road was unraveling before him, one path leading back to enduring the daily humiliation at the diner, and the other igniting a potential that felt almost alien. But was he truly ready to embrace the unknown? The moment had arrived for him to confront his deepest fears, and for the first time he felt the stirrings of courage rise within. And as he listened to Rachel's voice, he realized that his story was just beginning. Would this be the beginning of a new chapter in his life, or yet another misstep in a world that seemed determined to push him back into shadows? Jake clutched the phone tightly, its weight grounding him amid the swirling chaos of his thoughts. "Rachel, what do you mean by discuss my scholarship?" he asked, feeling both hope and trepidation. This conversation could shift everything, yet the stakes loomed large. What if they decided against him? "We think you have potential, Jake. We noticed your determination during your application," Rachel replied, her voice buoyed with enthusiasm. "We want to discuss an opportunity at the Academy. It involves a mentorship program that could align you with some of the best chefs in the industry." The world outside felt muted, as if the cacophony of city sounds had dulled in reference to this moment. A mentorship? The very word conjured visions of skilled hands shaping raw talent, of being challenged beyond comfort, and of growing, truly growing, into the chef he had always longed to be. What would it involve? Jake's mind raced through the implications. More time away from the diner, more financial burdens, but also the chance of transformation. It's a commitment. You'd spend part of your week within the academy attending classes, and the rest shadowing chefs in real kitchens. It's not going to be easy, but you have shown that you thrive under pressure. Ask yourself if you're willing to embrace this next step, Rachel said, her voice now softer but carrying urgency. Embrace, Jake echoed in his mind, feeling the word resonate deep within him. Was he ready to embrace the unknown? Why did success feel so intimidating, while failure felt like an old friend? The diner's fluorescent lights flickered overhead, their sterile glow harsh against the warmth igniting within him. He envisioned Billy's future, one not restricted by the inadequacies that had shackled Jake for too long. "I need some time to think," Jake finally said, the words feeling both liberating and heavy as they slipped past his lips. "Of course, just remember, opportunities often come shrouded in uncertainty. Don't dismiss this chance without due consideration," Rachel advised before disconnecting. Jake took a breath, the air thick with a mix of anxiety and possibility. It felt as though he stood before a brush fire, flickering and wild, ready to either consume him or enlighten the path ahead. He thought about the patrons who frequented the diner, each with their own stories, their own struggles. The next morning, he arrived at the diner earlier, an acute purpose threading through him. With every order filled, every plate served, he drilled into the rhythms of cooking with renewed vigor. It was no longer just a job. This was a canvas for his aspirations. During the early lull, he took a quick break, collecting his thoughts while leaning against the counter. The memory of the critic's praise echoed in his mind, melding with Rachel's assessment of his potential. His heart raced as he considered. From behind the comfort of his apron and cap, he envisioned what lay beyond. The diner continued its usual hum, but within Jake, a revolution was brewing. What if he could harness this energy, use it to propel himself forward? Everything he had learned, every dish he had crafted, could be transformed into something more, calling forth his culinary identity that long lay dormant. His gaze shifted outside, catching sight of food vendors bustling on the street. The busy world of kitchens and culinary creativity felt tantalizingly close. "I need to do this," he mused aloud, determination solidifying into resolve. But the choice ahead was monumental, requiring not just a leap, but a recalibration of his life. Could he muster the strength to leave the diner, to dive headfirst into uncertainty for the sweeter promise of a life he deserved? As the morning rush approached, he knew the time would come soon to face that decision head-on, one that could redefine his existence. Jake's phone buzzed again, interrupting his thoughts. He glanced at the screen and saw Rachel's name once more. The moment of truth was nearing. Would he answer, or would he allow fear to dictate his future? The weight of that choice pressed against him, heavy and electrifying, drawing him inexorably toward the next chapter. The phone buzzed again, the vibration sending a jolt through Jake. With each pulse, it felt like another heartbeat of possibility, urging him to confront the uncertainty brewing inside. He hesitated, weighing his options. The critical voice in his mind warned him that answering might lead him down a path he wasn't ready for. But another part, the part that had begun to awaken during his shifts, begged him to push back against the complacency that had defined his life for so long. With a shaky inhale, he swiped the screen, steadying himself. "Jake," Rachel greeted, her tone reassuring, cutting through the fog of his indecision. "I just wanted to follow up. Have you thought more about the mentorship?" "Yeah, He paused, the words catching in his throat. The diner's smell of stale grease and burnt coffee swirled around him, amplifying the tension. "I think I want to do it. I'm ready to take the leap." She chuckled softly, an encouraging sound that fueled his newfound courage. "I knew you'd see the opportunity for what it is. The application process isn't just an evaluation of skill. It's about your commitment to growth. You've already proven that determination." The weight on his shoulders felt slightly lighter, but apprehension lingered, sharp and tangible. "What if I fail?" "Failure is just the start of your learning process," she assured him. "You can't predict the future, but you can shape it with your actions. Focus on what you can control." Her words hung in the air, urging him to envision what success might look like. He could almost taste it, the thrill of a new kitchen, the pulse of creativity igniting with every chop, sizzle, and stir. But facing the fear of potential failure was a hurdle he had encountered many times before. Taking a breath, Jake steered the conversation. "What's next then?" Rachel laid out the logistics as Jake listened intently. He noted each detail: class timings, shadowing schedules, the expectations from each chef he would work under. As she spoke, the haze of uncertainty began to dissipate, replaced by anticipation and trepidation. He realized the moment this unfolded was not just about culinary skill. It was an invitation to discover the man he could be beyond the confines of the diner. The day unfolded, each moment more exhilarating than the last. He found himself pouring energy into the kitchen like never before, imagining the dishes he could create, the flavors he could explore. But that excitement was juxtaposed by the stark reality of his current situation, serving customer after customer, each moment pressing against his potential. As he washed dishes, he glanced at the clock, calculating how many shifts were left before he could step into the world he had only dreamt of. The rhythm of clattering plates reflected his racing thoughts. He could feel a seam tightening, a combination of hope and fear that felt almost paralyzing. When night enveloped the diner and the rush waned, he sat at the counter, the glow of neon lights filtering through the windows. His internal battle resumed, each conflicting emotion a reminder of how difficult change could be. Would he find the courage to fully pursue this mentorship? Or would he remain shackled by the familiar, losing sight of who he aspired to become? The phone buzzed once more, pulling him from his swirling thoughts. This time it wasn't Rachel. It was his brother, a voice he hadn't heard
in weeks. Jake's chest tightened. Their last conversation had stung like a fresh wound, a clash of expectations and disappointments. With hesitation, he answered, "Billy." As the conversation unfolded, he felt the gravity of dual challenges looming, a family bond that needed repair alongside the pursuit of his dreams. Would he manage to tackle both journeys simultaneously? The moment lingered, fraught with impending choices that could redefine his path. The light tugged at him, illuminating the struggles ahead. Yet the buzz of potential crackled above the fray, igniting an urgency he couldn't ignore. What would he say to Billy? Would it be a revelation or another layer of misunderstanding? The sharpness of Jake's breath echoed the depths of his resolve, ready to meld into something greater. But first, he needed to confront the ghosts of his past without losing sight of the future. As uncertainty rushed in like a tide, he realized that this juncture could shift everything, betting on his own ability to embrace change. And so he braced himself for the dialogue that awaited, feeling the stirrings of determination rise within. Would his willingness to face his brother open new doors or further complicate the bridge to his dreams? The answer dangled just beyond his grasp, waiting to be uncovered. The weight of the conversation loomed large in Jake's mind, each word from Billy slicing through the fog he had tried so hard to navigate. Ghosts of their past echoed in his thoughts, arguments, expectations unmet, and the distance that had grown between them. His brother's voice had always served as a reminder of the life he had wanted to escape, yet the idea of reconciliation clawed at him with urgency. As he hung up the phone, Jake felt the familiar ache of familial responsibilities clash with his yearning for independence. He stood up, pacing the small break room of the diner. The dingy walls felt like they were closing in on him, and yet he craved the challenge of stepping outside those confines, both physically and mentally. What did it mean to pursue growth while tangled in the expectations of his family? He realized he did not have to choose one path over the other, but integrating both could prove to be the real test of his character. Unshackling from the narratives that had tied him to his past required a different kind of courage, one that demanded vulnerability. Determined, Jake took a seat at the counter, digging out an old notepad from his bag. This was his moment to strategize. He had to prepare for the mentorship while also tackling the familial challenges that weighed on him. He divided the page into 2 columns: mentorship goals on the left, family dynamics on the right. Each item he wrote was steeped in authenticity, a fresh start entirely reliant on his willingness to embrace the unknown. With a pencil gripped tightly in hand, he began. Under mentorship goals, he envisioned mastering new techniques, experimenting with flavors, and communicating effectively with seasoned chefs. Under
family dynamics, he noted down the need for honest dialogue with Billy, admitting concerns and addressing long-held grievances. The act of writing felt empowering. It was a line in the sand he could hold himself accountable to. As he looked at the 2 columns, understanding dawned. The mentorship was about professional skills, but the work with Billy would require emotional depth, 2 sides of the same essential coin. He gathered the notes and slipped them into his pocket, heart racing with newfound resolve. Tomorrow, he would not only seek to impress the chefs he worked alongside, but also build bridges at home. Both journeys rested on him, interwoven and inseparable. Closing time drew near, yet Jake remained, lost in a whirlwind of possibilities. He felt the gravity of choices swirling inside him, shadows of doubt threatening to stifle his enthusiasm. Mentorship brought promises of opportunity, but would he falter in the face of personal healing? What if, in chasing new culinary horizons, he lost the connection with those who mattered most? As he locked up the diner for the night, a sudden idea struck him. The dishes he had washed for countless hours contained memories, simple family meals that his mother had prepared with love and warmth. Could he recreate those meals to bridge the gap he faced with Billy? Food had always bound them, each dish a shared story of their upbringing. Fueled by inspiration, Jake decided it was time to act. Tomorrow would mean experimentation in both the kitchen and his personal life. He could recreate those recipes, pouring love and memories into each dish while inviting Billy to share in the experience. The dawn of a new day approached, and so did the prospect of transformation, one that required him to extend as far as he could reach, and perhaps for the first time, pull back the veil of vulnerability to build something new. With determination solidifying within him, Jake took one last glance at the diner before stepping out into the night. 2 paths lay ahead that intertwined in his hands, but first he had to navigate the intricacies of family and ambition. What would tomorrow's challenges reveal about himself and his brother? Would passion and healing collide, igniting a rebirth of their bond? Or would the weight of their past keep them apart? The answers lurked just beyond the horizon, waiting for his next move. The morning sun filtered through the grimy windows of the diner, illuminating the remnants of last night's labors. Jake stood in the kitchen, a swirl of anxiety and determination clutching at his insides. The tasks ahead felt monumental. He was not just preparing meals, but navigating an emotional labyrinth. Today would be a culinary mirror, reflecting both his past and potential future. He took a deep breath and surveyed the ingredients laid out before him. The goal was simple: recreate the dishes that had sparked joy and memory during his childhood. There was an emotional weight in the process, one that he wasn't fully prepared for, yet felt driven to undertake. He could already picture Billy's tentative smile if the flavors surged with nostalgia. But would they be enough to crack the ice that had long frozen their bond? As he chopped vegetables, each slice felt symbolic,
a removal of barriers he had kept up for too long. Memories poured in as the scent of garlic infused the air. He remembered his mother humming softly while stirring pots, the way the house would fill with laughter around the dining table. Would Billy recall the same warmth? Would he even show up? Jake paused, struggling against doubt. What if his efforts were mocked? The fear of vulnerability tugged at him. Sharing these dishes felt like exposing fragments of his soul. Could he entice his brother back into a relationship built on trust rather than resentment? The task shifted from culinary to introspective, and for a moment he lost himself in thought. Would Billy ridicule the effort, or would he see the sincerity pouring out of each dish? No more masks, no more roles defined by their past. Trying to glimpse his brother's face in the swirl of memories, Jake felt the weight of healing and the burden of expectation. As the clock ticked on, he prepared a classic family favorite, his mother's pasta sauce. It simmered gently, filling the diner with a rich aroma that beckons to memories long pushed aside. Stirring the pot, Jake visualized the kitchen of his childhood, knowing it was time to breach the silence that had suffocated their relationship. The hour approached for their planned gathering, and nerves nipped at his resolve. Billy had agreed to meet, but Jake feared that the wall he had built around his heart might not crumble with just food. He began to set the table, a simple yet significant ritual that was both hopeful and daunting. It was an invitation, a call to share the same space again. He thought of every word he wanted to convey to Billy, weighing the emotions and thoughts he felt compelled to express. Would it be too cliché or sentimental? No, authenticity was paramount now. Empty platitudes would turn to ash in the heated exchange of raw emotions. An anxious flicker of time passed, and soon the door swung open. Billy stepped in, his form hesitant, and for a moment relief washed over Jake. The warmth of the sauce simultaneously grew heavy in the air, and the weight of their history settled like a mist between them. "Hey," Jake managed, the single word encompassing years of unspoken words. "Smells good," Billy replied, though his eyes betrayed skepticism that Jake worked hard to ignore. At that moment, Jake realized that this was more than a dinner invitation. This was an act of courage, a commitment to confront the past, not as brothers divided, but as men willing to bridge the gap. With their stories hanging in the air, Jake forged ahead, determined to seize the chance for something different this time.
"Let's talk," he said, wanting to set the tone of their gathering. Would they truly be able to open up, or would the ghosts of their past loom larger than the hope he clung to? What would it take to finally break through the silence? As laughter echoed in his ears, Jake understood that the coming moments would define the course of their lives, not just as brothers, but as individuals yearning for connection. The simmering pasta had ignited a spark, but the challenge lay in the dialogue yet to unfold. How far would he be able to reach? Jake took a steadying breath, the air thick with tension and a fading sense of unease. He gestured for them to take a seat at the small table adorned with his mother's linens, the ones that seemed to hold memories of laughter and arguments alike. The pasta sauce bubbled behind them, a warm comfort amidst the frigid atmosphere. As Billy settled into the chair, a reluctance hung between them, palpable and haunting. The two men exchanged glances that flickered with history. Jake's heart hammered in his chest. This was it, the moment where he could either fracture their bond further or begin stitching the pieces back together. "Do you remember the last time we sat like this?" Jake ventured, feeling the gravity of his words. The question lingered, inviting reflection. He could see Billy's brow furrowed, the gears turning, but his brother remained silent. "Me neither. It's been too long," Jake continued, pressing onward. Each word felt like a loose thread, threatening to unravel everything he had prepared for. "We used to do this all the time. I guess we kinda lost our way." Jake's voice quavered, but held firm. The kitchen, once a place of laughter and shared moments, felt like both a retreat and battlefield now. He watched his brother, searching for any sign of engagement or recognition, desperately wishing to reignite something they had both tucked away. "I thought you'd forgotten about those days," Billy finally responded, his tone cautiously defensive. "You moved on. I didn't." The words struck like a low blow, escalating Jake's internal turmoil. Had he really moved on? The reality cut deeper than any knife had while slicing through vegetables. Behind the chiming of plates, he faced a loaded question. Had his ambition driven them further apart, or were they both prisoners of their past choices? "I never forgot," Jake said, harnessing frustration into clarity. "I might have been busy, but I've always held on to those memories. You were my brother. Those moments meant something." Billy looked away, unwilling to confront the truth staring back at him. The silence grew dense again, threatening to swallow the conversation whole. "I made this sauce for you," Jake said, trying to keep the mood light, though every muscle in his body was tight with anticipation. "It's Mom's recipe. I thought it might spark—" "Spark what, exactly?" Billy shot back, eyes narrowing. "Nostalgia? Is that it? You can't just toss a plate of food at years of resentment and expect everything to be okay." Jake's heart sank, but he stood firm. There was a part of him that understood Billy's anger. He felt it coursing through his veins. "I'm not trying to fix the past in a single meal, but I want us to talk. I want to understand what happened between us." Billy's gaze softened, though hesitation clung like a shadow. "You think talking will heal everything? You're just a cook now, Jake. What do you know about life?" The sting in his brother's words opened a raw wound. Had his pursuit of culinary passion blinded him to reality? Jake felt an urge to lash out, but packaged it instead with resolve. He had to bridge this chasm between them, one fragile step at a time. "I know enough to see that we're both lost, and I refuse to let this be the end of us. This is a start, a chance to be honest." There it was, Jake's declaration, laying bare his fears and hopes alike. Would Billy take the leap with him? Could they dismantle the walls of resentment brick by brick? Billy hesitated, his expression shifting as the weight of honesty pressed down on them both. "You think talking will heal everything? You're just a cook now, Jake. What do you know about life?" The sting in his brother's words opened a raw wound. Had his pursuit of culinary passion blinded him to reality? Jake felt an urge to lash out, but packaged it instead with resolve. He had to bridge this chasm between them, one fragile step at a time. "I know enough to see that we're both lost, and I refuse to let this be the end of us. This is a start, a chance to be honest." There it was, Jake's declaration, laying bare his fears and hopes alike. Would Billy take the leap with him? Could they dismantle the walls of resentment brick by brick? Billy hesitated, his expression shifting as the weight of honesty pressed down on them both. Just when it seemed a breakthrough was near, an unexpected flash of doubt crossed Jake's mind. What if this conversation broke him further instead of building them up? "Jake," Billy started, voice faltering. Jake held his breath, waiting for the weight of truth to unravel everything they'd been hiding from, unaware that the most pivotal challenge was yet to come. As time continued to tick away, the tension in the diner thickened, a storm brewing at the edge of clarity. What truths lay buried beneath the surface, and would they find the courage to unravel them together? Billy's voice trailed off, leaving an unsettling quiet in the room. Jake felt a swell of anticipation mixed with anxiety. This was the moment where honesty could either lead to healing or deeper resentment. His brother seemed to wrestle with unspoken feelings, the silence a gaping chasm. "Why do you care so much now?" Billy finally asked, and Jake could sense the conflict simmering within him. This question was layered with disbelief and a touch of hurt, the kind that can only come from years of neglect. "Because I do," Jake replied, the weight of his resolve strengthening his voice. Maybe it's too late for me to change what's happened, but I refuse to accept that we can't move forward. I need you, Billy. We need one another. The intensity of Jake's admission filled the space between them like a potent aroma, richer than the simmering sauce. He leaned forward, gripping the edge of the table as if anchoring himself in this pivotal moment. Billy let out a strained laugh, but it lacked humor. You need me? That's funny, coming from the guy who left everything behind for a kitchen. Jake felt the sting of judgment, a reminder of his brother's perception of him as someone who had turned his back on their shared past. The old wounds pulsed, making Jake realize how deeply personal this conflict truly was. It wasn't about leaving you behind, Jake said, his tone earnest. It was about trying to find something that makes sense to me. I thought maybe through cooking, I could create a better life for both of us. Better for you, maybe, Billy shot back, his voice rising, sounding almost desperate. What about the sacrifices? You think that your dreams suddenly make mine irrelevant? Jake's stomach twisted at the accusations buried in Billy's words. He wasn't trying to diminish the weight of their past. A part of him recognized this was about more than culinary aspirations. It was about identity and worth. Do you think I don't struggle too? Jake's voice cracked, a vulnerability he had exposed before only to faces that were less familiar. Every dish I put out, every meal I create, it's an extension of me. But I look over my shoulder and see you. We should be sharing this, not tearing each other down. As Jake spoke, he unloaded years of frustration born from his brother's silence. Each sentence exposed the raw edges of his ambition and the loneliness that often accompanied it. The kitchen had been an escape, but here, face to face with Billy, it was different. Everything he poured into it felt heavy but necessary, like an offering. Billy's gaze softened for a moment, yet it flickered with distrust. You think you can play the ambitious brother card now? You expect me to just forget everything? How you walked away? How I had to pick up the pieces? Jake felt a tightening in his chest. Those pieces had cut deeply into him, too. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking you to consider that I want to rebuild. I want to find that brother again, the one who wasn't afraid to sit at the table and share life. The tension hung thick, hanging like a murky cloud above them. Could they really grasp this chance for the past to serve as the foundation for a new relationship? Jake. Billy's expression was torn between resentment and a flicker of hope as he looked down at the tablecloth. The repeated patterns of their childhood seemed to mirror the turbulent emotions simmering below. Whatever truth lay buried beneath the surface was fighting to break free. Jake felt his own resolve solidifying, an intuition that the next conversation would be the pivotal spark. Let's start again, Jake urged, searching Billy's eyes for any sign of connection. But this time, no holding back. Let's share everything, every feeling we've tucked away. Is that something you can do? Billy's breath hitched slightly, the tension coiling tighter as the moment hung in suspense. The storm they had danced around was inching closer, and both brothers stood at an emotional precipice, teetering on the edge. What if we find out we don't even know each other anymore? Billy whispered, the doubt mingling with fear, casting a shadow over their resolve. As Jake opened his mouth to answer, a sound echoed through the kitchen, the telephone ringing insistently, a distraction that shattered the fragile moment. He hesitated, torn between the hope of what he had just proposed and the sudden urgency of this interruption. Would they continue to unravel their truths, or would outside influences once again hinder their healing? Jake? Billy's voice brought him back to the reality before him. What now? The unresolved tension hung thick, a palpable challenge waiting to be confronted, and Jake realized their journey together was far from over. The telephone rang with an urgency that felt jarring against the delicate atmosphere they had begun to cultivate. The moment hung precariously, like a fragile ornament threatened by the slightest disturbance. Jake turned his head toward the clangor, the pull of that ringing contrasting sharply with the softened silence he had hoped to keep. Billy's eyes narrowed, suspicion lacing his brows, as if the call itself were an uninvited guest. "Just answer it," Billy muttered, the bitterness curling his lips like a distant promise of unresolved resentment. Swallowing hard, Jake picked up the receiver. "Hello?" His voice betrayed a hint of frustration, abandoning the vulnerability he had so carefully constructed. "Jake, thank God I reached you." It was Linda from the restaurant, her voice a blend of anxiety and excitement. "We've hit a snag for tonight's special. The main ingredient is gone. Can you come in early?" The mere thought of cutting the conversation short with Billy filled Jake with dismay. He glanced back at his brother, who was drumming his fingers impatiently on the table, a storm of emotion stirring in his eyes. I'll be there," Jake said reluctantly, feeling the weight of the professional obligation he had to balance against a rare personal moment. "Jake," Billy called after him as he set the phone down, "you can't just walk out like this." In that instant, Jake felt trapped between two worlds. His responsibility as a chef tugging at him with professional urgency, while his heart craved the connection he was desperate to forge with his brother. He hesitated, wrestling with an internal battle. Part of him screamed to stick around and dive deeper into their simmering emotions, to seize the chance finally to mend decades of distance. The other part, familiar with the rhythms of the kitchen and the pressures of his career, urged him to fulfill his commitments. "This is important, Billy," Jake replied, his voice laden with unspent frustration. "I need to go. My job depends on me." "And what about this? What we're trying to salvage?" Billy shot back, his tone sharp like the knives in Jake's kitchen. "When is your work going to stop being more important than us?" The sting of that accusation pierced Jake. It mirrored the very fears he had fought against, the
thought of being measured and then found wanting. It's not about the job. It's about responsibility, a responsibility I can't ignore, not if I want to build something real. In that momentary lull, Jake caught a glimpse of anguish in Billy's face. Was it just him, or had a fragment of understanding flickered in the shadows? The pause between them filled with unspoken thoughts, perhaps even an echo of regret swirling through both their minds. "I'll be back as soon as I can," Jake promised, with a conviction he didn't fully feel, yet it was enough to thread together their fraying connection, however tenuous. As he moved to leave, something shifted internally. The two worlds he struggled to navigate didn't have to be mutually exclusive. He could be a chef and still nurture his brotherly bonds. It was a revelation, a stubborn belief taking root in his psyche. Another voice suddenly intruded on the moment, bitter and demanding. "You still think you can juggle both, Jake? Your kitchen and your family?" The words were like venom, dripping with betrayal and anger. Jake's heart raced as he turned towards the direction of the voice, bracing for confrontation. He could almost feel the challenge hanging in the air, thick and unyielding. It was a voice from his past, reminding him of the uncomfortable truths he still had not reconciled. The moment he turned, Jake's resolve hardened. He was ready to confront whatever lay ahead, but the question remained. Could he truly balance the cooking world he had fought for and the personal relationships he yearned to repair? And would he find the strength to be seen as both a chef and a brother? The phone rang again, slicing through the tension like a chef's knife through tender meat. This time, it felt more than just a call from the past. It was a summons from destiny. Jake paused, the thrill of uncertainty rushing through him like adrenaline. Was he ready for what lay beyond the call? Would what he hear provide clarity, or would it further complicate the fragile thread he was attempting to weave with Billy? The door of opportunity creaked open, but the next step loomed heavy with consequences. Jake stood at the edge of an emotional precipice, feeling the weight of both worlds pulling at him. The culinary career that flickered with opportunity, and the messy, intricate tapestry of brotherhood that demanded both courage and understanding. He stepped back toward Billy, the phone lingering in his mind like a challenge yet to be met. "Stay," Jake implored softly, the word carrying a weight of promise. "I've dodged it for too long. I need to be here. I want to be here." Billy's gaze softened, tinged with uncertainty, and for the first time, Jake sensed a bridge forming between their hearts. "But what if you don't come back? What if this is just another excuse, another way to prioritize your career over our relationship?" "I'm not trying to avoid us," Jake protested earnestly, the sincerity lacing his voice like an aromatic sauce simmering on the stove. "I know my work has consumed me, but I want that identity to incorporate my commitment to you. Life's not meant to be an endless race. It's about shared moments, whether in the kitchen or around a table." For a brief heartbeat, they locked eyes, and amid the swirling memories and untold grievances, Jake saw flickers of hope reflected in his brother's expression. They both craved connection and understanding. "If it's that easy," Billy murmured, "why did it take you so long to come back?" Jake inhaled deeply, allowing the grief and shame that accompanied his answer to wash over him. "I was afraid, Billy, afraid that I would fail as both a brother and a chef. I thought if I chased my dreams, I'd leave you behind. I see now that it's about bridging those two parts of who I am." Billy leaned back, contemplating Jake's words, his fingers still drumming on the table with the rhythm of unresolved tension. "But that doesn't change the hurt. Just being here is not enough." "No, it's not," Jake replied, his voice steady and grounded. "But it's a start. I'm ready to face the discomfort, the hard truths. You deserve that from me." An understanding glance passed between them as Jake felt a shift in the air. In that moment of vulnerability, Jake knew that his culinary aspirations and brotherly duties were not separate realms, but intertwined paths leading to the man he yearned to be. A compassionate chef, a dedicated brother. He found himself laying out both his dreams and fears at the table, just as he had done with his mother's pasta sauce. Amidst the heaviness of their conversation, another sound broke through. The telephone ringing again, the insistent urgency pulling at Jake's focus. This time it was different. It felt electric, even transformative. "Just leave it," Billy said, waving a dismissive hand, the corner of his mouth curling into a faint smile. "Let it ring," Jake echoed, a vision forming in his mind of everything he had been avoiding. Slowly, with a smile settling across his features, he turned to the simmering pot behind them, the aroma wafting through the air, an invitation to remember the warmth and acceptance they had once shared. He ladled some sauce into a bowl, allowing it to cool as he began to speak. "This sauce, it's a reminder that despite how life changes, the essence of family, much like a good recipe, remains intact. It just needs careful attention, a willingness to stir and nurture." Billy's eyes sparkled as Jake placed the bowl in front of him, the flicker of recognition offering a glimmer of hope. "What do you want, Billy? What do you truly want from me?" "I just want consistency," Billy replied, his voice softer now, yet filled with a resonance of ancient sorrow. "I want you to be someone I can count on again." "Then let's do that together," Jake encouraged, feeling the words flow freely. "Let's redefine this relationship. I don't want to live in the past. I want to build the future." In that moment, Jake understood they were no longer bound by old wounds, but were daring to reshape their connection with intention and trust.
The phones rang and buzzed. Life moved outside the diner. But here, time stood still as they leaned into the uncertainty, the beautiful chaos of brotherhood and ambition colliding into one new reality. As laughter began to emerge, Jake sensed the shift in the air. They spoke honestly, wrestling with feelings, yet filled with hope. He marveled at the rediscovered bravery in both their voices, each word reigniting the brotherly bond that life had tested time and again. The shadows of the past were dissipating, replaced by a shared commitment to grow and to overcome. Soon enough, they reached for different conversations, laughter mingling with tears, ideas blooming like the fresh herbs he utilized in the sauce. They promised each other they would be there, side by side, brothers navigating life's complexities together, holding their dreams and vulnerabilities in tandem. In this profound moment, Jake found more than just a path towards culinary mastery. He found a purpose. He knew he could both fulfill his ambition to become a chef and embrace becoming the brother Billy had always deserved. And as Jake prepared to juggle cooking and caring, he felt a stir of confidence rising within him, anchored in the recognition that embracing both pursuits could enrich his life. He chose to savor every moment with Billy. He could redefine his identity, forge bridges made of love and warmth, and embark on a journey where ambition and brotherhood beautifully intertwined. This was his moment, a time to renew. It was here he truly achieved fulfillment. Now Jake was neither just a cook nor just a brother. He was both and more. He had proven that his dreams were not shackles, rather they were wings that lifted him and those he loved toward transformation. With newfound clarity, Jake leaned into the future, ready to take on the culinary world without forsaking what mattered most. A kitchen dance awaited, and he couldn't wait to see how his new story unfolded with Billy. Both chefs, hand in hand, side by side, ready to take on life's next incredible dish together. For all of you who have felt the weight of ambition and family collide, this is the moment for your fresh start. You need to subscribe now. Leave a like to fuel more inspiring stories. Comment with your thoughts and insights on this transformative journey. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to embrace their own paths of personal growth. With newfound clarity, Jake leaned into the future, ready to take on the culinary world without forsaking what mattered most. A kitchen dance awaited, and he couldn't wait to see how his new story unfolded with Billy. Both chefs, hand in hand, side by side, ready to take on life's next incredible dish together. For all of you who have felt the weight of ambition and family collide, this is the moment for your fresh start. You need to subscribe now. Leave a like to fuel more inspiring stories. Comment with your thoughts and insights on this transformative journey. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to embrace their own paths of personal growth.